Cool. Hello, everyone. Hey, how's it going? Hello to everyone on YouTube, too. My name is Wesley. You can cook. If this is your first time tuning in, we're here every Tuesday and Thursday at 6:30 PST. Cooking things that are coming out over on my YouTube channel. So today we're going to be doing a Korean stir-fried with the use of tteokbokki, which is a Korean rice cake stick. It's like a thick rice cake that has actually a similar Chinese food called nyan, which is also cut a little bit differently. So we're going to take a look at all that stuff today. We're going to be doing called Rabokki, which is essentially a dish called tteokbokki. We tossed it in with a little bit of ramen. So we're going to take a look at all that stuff and dive right into it. So if you have any questions for me, feel free and drop your questions in the chat. I don't know everything about Rabokki, but I know lots of stuff. So hopefully I can be helpful or at the very least entertaining to watch. As with everything that we cook on stream, there's always a recipe video that goes along with the thing that we're cooking today. Those recipes, especially for cooking on a Tuesday, they usually popped up over on my YouTube channel the previous Friday. So this particular Rabokki came out on the channel last Friday, a couple of days ago. And it's loosely inspired by the tteokbokki that you'll see on Squid Games in the Netflix series. So, if you're interested in stuff like that, definitely hop over to the YouTube, check out what's going on over there. Lots of fun stuff coming up every Friday. We're working our way up to 5,500 subscribers by the end of the month. So, if you want to help us hit our subscriber goal, please hop over and subscribe. Yeah, you had no idea where the fun beat came from. That's cool, yeah. Nice. Yeah, cool. So, you might notice there's also a laptop that's happening behind me too. That laptop, it goes to YouTube. So, on that stream, we're going to be cooking for a couple of weeks. So if you want to know what we're going to be cooking next, also if you want to know what's coming out on the YouTube channel and like what recipes we're going to be doing next, that all lives over in the YouTube channel. So it's a fun place to check out. So cool. So enough of all of that. Diving right in, I'm going to kick things off a little bit differently today because today we're going to be doing the way that a Rabokki happens is it starts off with a broth. So we're going to kick it off with this broth first because it takes a little bit longer. And what we're going to be using today, I guess let's start this over here. What we're going to be using today is two very, very important things. I honestly think this is maybe the best part about this whole recipe. So what we're going to be using today is a little bit of anchovy and then a little bit of dried sea kelp. So I think that these two elements is where like the bulk of the umami in our dish comes from today. If you can find stuff, I know I've done this recipe enough times where people have started asking me about like good ways to sub things out. Where is this? Oh, it's missing. Oh, here it is. If you can't find these two ingredients, I know they're a little bit difficult to locate. I found that the bonito dried powdered dashi stock, this is what you'll use in a lot of Japanese dishes. This is a really great alternative. Uh-oh, you're hearing static. I don't think you're hearing static. I don't think we're returning static. Let's restart this. Check. Cool. I think that's working. Anyway, occasionally you get a little pops. Yeah, the YouTube mic is going in and out. We might need to replace the YouTube mic. So it's kind of going. It had a good long life. I think it's been around for about a year now, so that's pretty good. It's a long time for a $30 mic. So anyway. So this is a bonito stock. It's also, you'll often see it referred to as like a dashi broth. You use it in a lot of Japanese cooking. We used it last time that I used this was for a katsu danbori, which is like a chicken katsu cutlet rice dish. This stuff, which is dried sea kelp. So it has very, very similar qualities of umami. Obviously, the main difference is that bonito stock or dashi stock comes from Japanese cuisine. They were working with Korean cuisine. If you can find these two ingredients, though, that's definitely my best alternative is to use a dashi stock like that. If you also can't find dashi stock, I know that also might be hard to find too. You can just do this whole recipe with like some of the like more dumbed down versions that I've seen, that's how they do it. It's just with straight up water. And if you're feeling really lazy, that's the way to do it. So today we're going to be doing it with a little bit more amped up qualities because I happen to live near a Korean market. But do what you got to do to make this one work. So cool. So first up, this is some dried anchovies, as you might guess. Look like tiny little fishes, like so. They are smell really strong and honestly a little bit gross if you don't like fishy things. But they are also where a lot of umami is going to come from, is from these dried fishes, because we have a lot of like fishy umami. This is basically where fish sauce comes from. So what we're going to do is stock off with this dried anchovies. So I'm going to kick things off. This is going to be my dried anchovies going in, and then we're also going to add a couple of sheets. This is the wrong one, I think. That one open. Yeah. And then, so following that, I'm also going to add, this is going to be maybe 1 or 2 sheets. This is a really big sheet. Might be enough. Yeah, that looks like enough. That's maybe 1 very large sheet or 2 very small sheets of dried kelp. And that's going to give us a lot of like fishy and like sea briny umami. And that's going to be basically the basis of everything that we're cooking today. So we're going to let that boil. I usually like to let it simmer for a full 30 minutes. We'll see how long, if that actually goes for 30 minutes, but we'll see. So we're going to let that boil. Occasionally you'll see me come over here and give that a stir, but that's also the reason why we're kicking things off with that first, is because we want to let it go for a full 30 minutes. So, cool. So, to what we were doing before, I'm kicking things off now next with our veggies first. Of crushed and minced garlic. Today we're going to be skipping the ginger because it actually doesn't belong in Korean food at all. So, although you could throw ginger, would probably be pretty good in this dish. Yeah, there we go. So that's our garlic. We're going to set this aside. And today what we're going to be doing, as you might have noticed, is that we're actually not going to be doing a stir fry. So we're going to have to introduce these elements in. For this particular element, our garlic is going to go into a sauce base today. It actually means that we don't need to set it aside independently. Save the dish. So this is heading straight into our sauce base today, which means that we don't need to set it in this. And then next up, I'm going to dive right into all of our veggies next. I'm going to chop up, so next up I'm going to chop up, this is going to be most of a green onion. So what we want to do today, so we're actually, since we're not stir frying, we're going to be using everything that we're chopping here is going to be garnish at this point for our green onions, which means that anytime that we're using all of the green onion for garnish, like we are right now, meaning that we're using the whites as garnish as well, we want to make sure that these whites, they get sliced real thin. Otherwise, they're essentially going to be throwing raw onion into your finished dish when you garnish with it, which gets a little bit abrasive. So usually what I like to do when I'm working with raw whites is that we're going to set those aside and slice them a little bit more thinly than we would with these greens, like so. Cool, so that's our garnish. We're gonna set all of this aside. And these are gonna go as our finishing garnish on top once we're finished cooking. All right, so that's our green onion. It's been 95% okay, yeah, so it might have fixed itself. I also reset it too, so that might actually help. But it is also, the mic on YouTube is the older mic of the 2 mics that we're using. This one that you can see, this one is going to Reddit. Oh, and it looks like we lost the Reddit camera. A glitch is happening today. Yeah, so the one on my lapel, that one goes to Reddit, and the one on my belt clip is going to YouTube, and it's the one that I've had much longer, so it seems to be coming in and out lately. But let me know. By the way, if you followed these streams before, you probably know this, but I don't have any feedback of like what's actually happening on either of the streams, so I have no idea if something's wrong. So if like the music is too loud or if the mics are crapping out, I have no idea. So please tell me. Cool. Next up, this is going to be half of a white onion, or this is actually a yellow onion today. My preference is usually actually white onion, but it's really hard to find white onions in Chinatown for whatever reason. Yeah. Cool. So here's our onion. We're going to slice this up real thin. As with everything else that's going on today, we're actually not going to be stir frying. This is not going to be cooked at all. It's not going to be fried today, which means that since it's actually just going to be going straight into really because of the way that it's being cooked. It's being cooked so gently that if you slice it a little bit thinner, it's going to benefit real nice by kind of like cooking it a little bit more thoroughly and evenly. So real thin slices with our onions today, or as thin as you can possibly manage. That's our onion. A lot of counter space today. Cool. Next up, this is going to be our fish cake. So this is another interesting one too. Fish cake, when you look for it in Korean markets, this is a Korean fish cake. You'll generally find it in the frozen foods aisle. I don't know actually why this is so different. When you find them in Chinese foods aisles, they're generally found in fresh foods. So you'll generally see it in the refrigerated section. I have no idea, but most of stuff in Korean markets, it's in the frozen aisle. They never make this stuff fresh, so I don't know why. But what it essentially is ground up fish that's combined with some like aromatics. Usually it's like shallots, some garlic, probably some other kind of spices going on, and then compressed into a really tight form into a pancake that looks like this. It's also really commonly found in a lot of Korean stews, which is why we're using it today, because it just feels the real traditional thing to be doing. So what I'm going to do is we're slicing this up into relatively small planks. We're going for medium or like medium 1-inch pieces or so. That's going to be real nice and bite-sized for us. Very useful for this particular circumstance. That this stuff is a little bit annoying to chop through. So that's our fish cake. Alright, circling back, next up we're going to get into our stock once it starts boiling. Once it comes up to the boil at least. As with everything else that we do when it's off heat, what I always recommend is that you don't want to just dump everything that we're doing here straight into the wok. We want to make sure and add this to taste. So adjust. If you don't end up using it, don't feel bad. It's not the end of the world if you don't end up using it at all. So that was 4 tablespoons of soy sauce that we're kicking off with. Then following up with 1 tablespoon. 1 tablespoon? Yeah. 1 tablespoon of gochugaru, which is, I guess you could call it like Korean chili powder. If you can't find it, you could probably just use chili powder. That would probably work out okay, although I have to say that gochugaru. Very nice. Get your hands on it. And next up, this is going to be 2 tablespoons of gochujang, which is a Korean fermented chili paste. It is very pungent and very overwhelming. So as I always say, that we're working with gochujang, so you want to go easy on the stuff. Make sure that you don't overdo it, because the stuff gets really overpowering and can overtake a whole dish really quick. So we're going with behind me, and this should be 4 cups of water. It's actually reduced. So that's a whole 4 cups of stock that we're working with. Combined with this is just 2 tablespoons of gochujang. All right, so last up, this is going to be 1 tablespoon of brown sugar. That's it. Yeah. And then what was already in the bowl, that was our garlic. And then we're just gonna let this combine. Most likely you're gonna need to switch to a fork. Kind of depends on how dried out your gochujang is, but most of the time when I work with this stuff, we need to get into a fork or a whisk. And that's just gonna help us make sure that we break up those large clumps. And that's gonna do it. So behind me, our stock is getting going. You'll notice that I just turned around every once in a while. We're basically just moving around that kombu and the anchovies to make sure that things are nice and mixed in. Yeah, I think that's it. Cool. Let's get back to this. So back over here on the stove, what we're looking at is our stock base today. So what we have is, I think what I did was about a handful of anchovy. I think in the recipe, what do we call for? Yeah, about half an ounce or maybe like a half a cup of anchovy. I usually like to eyeball it, but what we're waiting for is to just let a lot of this fishy umami and all of that briny umami that's coming off of our kelp to just sort of combine into our stock. That usually takes about 30 minutes. Probably not going to give it 30 minutes, but we're going to let that go for maybe another like 5 minutes or so. And that's going to give us this nice healthy stock. Then what we're going to do is we're going to pull out that kombu and fish out all of those anchovies. And then cook everything in that stock. So that's going to be the basis of our whole dish today, is that anchovy and kombu stock. It's reducing a little bit faster than I'd like it to. So behind me, this stock is starting to reduce a little bit faster than I'd like it to. So I'm adding, that's just a little bit more water. That was maybe another cup of water. What I always say is generally want to keep an eye on the reduction of your stocks when we're working with stuff like this. And if it starts looking a little low, don't be afraid to add a little bit more water. But I think you can tell, yeah, you can kind of tell, that the color of our stock is starting to change quite a bit. You'll notice it's starting to get a little bit cloudy. That's all of that brininess coming off of that kombu is coming into the stock, and that's going to be where all of the flavor is coming from. So lots of good umami coming up in that stock. Cool. Cool. Hello to everyone just tuning in. My name is Wesley. This is Cook. If this is your first time tuning in, we're here every Tuesday and Thursday at 6:30 PST. New recipes coming out over on the YouTube channel every Friday. So last Friday we came out with a recipe for a rabokki, a Korean rice noodle or like a Korean rice cake dish that's loosely riffing off of another Korean dish called tteokbokki, which uses a Korean rice cake, which we can take a look at here. Is there a leaf in there? Yeah. Yeah, good question. Yeah. Today we're doing a rabokki, which is loosely inspired or heavily using the use of a anchovy and kombu stock. So today, the first thing that's in here, these are anchovies. Those are little fishes. And that's basically, if you've ever used fish stock or fish sauce, that's where that stuff comes from, is anchovy. And then what's this big leaf in here? That's our kombu, so we could take a look. It's probably easier to look at over here. The big leaf in it is called kombu. It's a form of beet, which looks like this when you buy it. And that's like it's usually sold very dried out, and it has all of this nice briny stuff going on. I believe that's essentially how MSG is developed, is from the reduction of kombu. I think. Don't quote me on that. I think that's how that stuff is made. So lots of good umami coming up in that stock. Today, so getting back to it, today we're doing a Rabokki, which is a form of tteok or tteokbokki, which is a Korean rice noodle dish that uses or very heavily relies on the tteokbokki or tteoks or the Korean rice cake that has a very similar Chinese parallel. Which uses another rice cake that is made of the exact same thing. The only differently called niangao, which is another form of rice cake. You'll see notice it's very solid and durable, very thick to when you bite into it. So we're going to be adding that to our stock base in a little bit once the start comes up to reduction. As always, everything that we stream, there's a recipe video that goes along with it. This particular Rabokki recipe came out on the channel Friday. So we're going through that recipe right now. So if you're interested in YouTube channel and check out what's going on over so I think it was the first episode of Squid Game, where they were like sitting in a Korean night market eating a tteokbokki, and she said that her mom doesn't let her eat junk food. That's what this is inspired by. So that's essentially the dish that we're cooking today. So we're going to take a look at all of these things. So if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. The YouTube channel, if you haven't yet, check out what's going on over there. Lots of fun recipes every Friday. Cool. So over on the stove, this is our anchovy and kombu stock coming together. This is rapidly approaching 30 minutes. I think we're at like 25 minutes. It's probably good enough. So what I'm going to do here is what I like to do is we're just going to fish this stuff out. No pun intended. You'll notice that once we start fishing this stuff out, there's going to be some things that get left behind. It's like a little bit of like little bits and pieces of that anchovy, plus some like random parts of that kombu kind of just stick around. I don't mind that, but if you really are like weirded out by anchovy, you can absolutely start passing this through like a sieve or even cheesecloth if you're really concerned about eating this weird stuff. I don't mind that stuff though, so I'm going to leave it behind. But what we're really after is what's already in there already, which is all of that good MSG, well, not MSG, but like fishy and briny qualities that are coming out. That's now in this stock reduction here. That's what we're looking for. Then next I'm adding, this is first up going in is our tteok, or rice cakes. That's I think like a dozen or so. Yeah, something like that. It's maybe like 2 dozen. We're gonna give that a head start because the tteok can take quite a while to cook, or it can take a good amount of time longer than everything else that we're going to be cooking. So the other two things that are going in are fish cake and then our ramen, of course. So all three of those things are going to cook really quickly. That stuff probably only needs to be in the stock for a couple of minutes, whereas this tteok will take a good solid 5 minutes or so to really become tender. And if you've ever had an undercooked rice cake, they really suck because they're basically inedible because they're so thick and difficult to chew on. So we want to make sure that we give our rice cakes plenty of time to cook all the way through. Nobody likes an undercooked tteokbokki. So we're going to give that a good solid 5-minute head start here. Yeah. Cool. Let's see while that's going. I'm gonna wait to poach these eggs. If you buy videos in the original recipe, we did a hard-boiled egg where I fucked it up really bad. It was the one thing that I messed up because I guess I don't know how to hard-boil eggs. So I'm actually not gonna do the hard-boiled egg today because I don't feel like it. What we're gonna do is poaching egg today, which I just saw on another Kenji Lopez video that I was randomly watching and was inspired to do that instead. So if you're following the recipe video though, if you want to follow along to how we did it in the video, that's usually done, probably more traditionally done with a hard boil. Usually that's going to be like a soft boiled center. going to do that with a poached egg, which is another great way of doing it. You get a very similar result, nice soft yolk in the center. And hopefully I don't fuck that up. So that's what, if you can see behind me, there's another pot going on the side. That's what we're going to be using that for. Am I making tteokbokki? Yeah, and very, very good on spelling that correctly. Tteokbokki is a hard word to spell. There are so many T's in it. But yes, we're making tteokbokki, or what we're cooking behind us, that's the tteok. What we're actually making today is Rabokki, which is tteokbokki. Essentially, tteokbokki is Rabokki is tteokbokki with ramen added. So, tteokbokki, by the way, it has its origins in Korean street food. That's why if you've watched the Squid Games season 1, in the very first episode, they're eating a Korean night market. That's generally the origins of where tteokbokki comes from. And here in the States, you'll find it in a lot of like Korean barbecue restaurants as like a small appetizer, like side dish. Lots of times it's included in orders as like a shared plate. So that dish has like endless variations. You could do so many different things with the tteokbokki. You can put, I've seen people put ham in it. You can put onions. Today we're doing fish cakes and onions. We're also going to be adding ramen. I've seen people put mozzarella cheese on it. That's a real cool one. Lots and lots of stuff that you can throw in there. Today what we're cooking is one of the variations of tteokbokki, which is called Rabokki, which is essentially tteokbokki that has ramen added. So that's what we're cooking today. You're an Indian food that loves Korean food. That's cool. I'm a Chinese dude that loves Korean food. So there you go. But yeah, definitely, if you followed along with these streams, you'll notice that the things I'm most comfortable cooking are probably Chinese and Chinese-based wines, because those are the things that I've been cooking the longest. But we also cook various other things going from other Asian cultures quite a bit too. So here we go. Cool. So you'll also notice, while our tteok is cooking, is that our stock is starting to reduce quite a bit. So this started out as 6 cups of water, which is quite a bit of water. The water's like up to here. That reduction is very intentional. We want that to start reducing because the more that it reduces, the more concentrated it becomes in that that umami and brininess that's coming from our anchovy and kombu. It starts concentrating quite a bit more, and then we get all of that flavor and the more concentrated punch. Which is why sauce base off heat, that's very, very important, because we want to be able to adjust that. So anything that has salty quality to it, we want to be able to add that in adjustments in smaller quantities. Otherwise, you can get yourself hot water with over seasoning real easily, because we don't want to add that until we have a nice reduced stock here. So every once in a while, if it does start getting too low though, you'll see me adding a little bit you'll see me adding a little bit more water there, just in case when that stock starts reducing too much. Indian American, yeah, that's cool. Chinese American, there you go. Taiwanese American, excuse me. All right, so I'm just giving it a couple of shuffles every once in a while and coming in and giving it a little bit of a shuffle. That's mainly because we're working in that round bottom wok today, which means that if you don't shuffle it, the tteok will start sticking to the wok because it's very, very shallow. So we want to make sure that every once in a while we go in and give it a little bit of a shuffle, otherwise that tteok is going to stick to the wok, which is not a good thing. And then what we're going to start doing, that's not quite ready yet, but I have a fork here and we're going to make sure it's nice and fork tender, so when I can fork through it, that's when we know we're ready to go. Cool. Yeah, we're almost there. I think that's at like 80-85%. So, the reason that we're giving this such a long head start before we add anything else in is because this tteokbokki is going to take much longer to cook than everything else. The other things that we add are our onions and our cake, and then our ramen. All three of those things are going to happen in maybe like a minute. Basically, the duration of time that it takes to make top ramen, which is basically the amount of time that it takes to loosen up that ramen. So that means that most of what we have to cook today is this tteok. So. Cool. Yeah, is there an easier way to know? Is there any to know when the tteok is done adding other ingredients. So usually what I like to do, it also, for what it's worth, is because it is so durable, it can go in that stew for a long time. You could let it go for like literally hours and it will be just fine. So you're not going to risk overcooking it. At this point, what we're really just trying to make happen here is that, like, as soon as it's ready to go, I want to start adding other things because I'm hungry and we want to do this as fast as possible. But if you're worried about overcooking it, it's not going to overcook for sure. But what we're mainly looking for here is that our fork can pierce through the tteok. So this is essentially cooked through. So if you can't do that, that means that it's probably not cooked through. And generally, when it's still raw, that's basically what's happening, is that you're not going to be able to get the fork all the way through. But everything else that we're adding, so I guess these fish cakes do need a little bit of heat because they're technically par-cooked. They're not cooked all the way through when they're cooked, manufactured, excuse me. So we're going to let that go for maybe a minute. And then again, so I mentioned this earlier when we cut the onions, but that was the reason why we chop these onions so thinly, is because we want them to be able to cook relatively fast in this really, really gentle boil. So since we're not wok frying our onions today, we want to give them as much of an advantage as possible to cook quickly here. Cool. So that's our fish cake and our onions going in here. I'm going to let this go for maybe another minute or so. You'll notice that our stock, our broth basically has become very, very reduced. That's very intentional. We want this to be nice and reduced once our stock comes up to temperature, because we want to be able to have this nice and concentrated stock, and that's going to give us a nice punchy qualities to that anchovy and kombu that was cooking in it. You're currently waiting for Thai food to arrive. Yeah, that's the worst. Waiting for food to arrive is the worst. Cool. Yeah, thank you. Good question. But yeah, otherwise though, these onions will go very, very quickly. And the fish cake, I believe, when it's manufactured, I can't quite figure it out. But I'm pretty sure that when fish cake is manufactured, it is manufactured raw, so it is technically raw fish that's going on in there. I have a feeling that it is par-cooked to some extent when it gets compressed into that little pancake. I'm not sure about that though. All of the research that I've done tells me that it's not cooked, but I don't think that that's true. That doesn't sound accurate because it kind of looks like cooked fish to me. So, but I don't know. But definitely, mainly what we're looking for is our finished onions, so we want those to cook all the way through. MJ, yeah, is it being streamed anywhere else other than YouTube? So that's where they are streamed. That's the other chat that I'm talking to. It's also popping up over on Reddit. So if you locate it over on Reddit, it's going onto the subreddit Reddit in the kitchen. Or you can just find it on my Reddit profile, which is our u/WooCanCook. Either way. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, it's looking good. All right, so lots of people have asked me about these ramen cakes. So what we're using today is literally, this is just ramen bricks. You can, in Chinatown, find this stuff on bulk. So this is what I think is a pack of 40 or so of these things. So if you can't find it, you can also just straight up just use the top ramen and hold on to that seasoning. I think that will also work too. Also, if you can find fresh top ramen, like freshly made ramen, that's a good one to add too. But I actually don't know where to get that. It's not Chinese, so I can't find it in Chinatown. So I'm going to add a little bit more water here because you'll notice that there's not quite enough liquid to cook our ramen here. Cool. So that was, I don't know, maybe another like cup of water. And that gives us enough liquid to really cook this ramen down and just sort of let it break apart. Yeah. This, by the way, if we were making tteokbokki, if we just stopped right before this ramen, that would be tteokbokki. We're adding the extra step of adding ramen to this, which I find is my favorite way about eating tteokbokki. But if you want to stay traditional, that's definitely the more traditional route. So I'm going to let that come back up to a boil because we added that extra water. Our wok is looking a little bit cold, so I'm going to let that come back up to a boil and then we'll finish it up here. While that's going, we can take a look at our eggs. So, today we're going to be poaching eggs, which is very, very useful to do with eggs. So these are fresh eggs that I bought at the market today. We're going to do 3 of them, I think. I'm going to do 3. This, by the way, if you're trying to cook along to the original recipe, is done in the original recipe with hard-boiled eggs, but today we're going to be doing it with poached eggs, which is what's going on that side burner behind me. There we go. Now it's coming back up. Cool. Yeah. Ramen, dried ramen, by the way, is already cooked, so that's not a raw ingredient. So basically, what we're doing when we use something like dried top ramen or even like the maruchan, all of that stuff, it's basically freeze dried, so it's essentially a cooked noodle that has. So when you're cooking it and you're adding hot water to your top ramen and stuff, all of that's essentially doing is just rehydrating, so you're not actually cooking anything. So. If it's slightly undercooked, that's also okay too. That's also, by the way, the reason why you can eat ramen raw is because it's not a raw ingredient. There's no raw flour going on, so you're not going to give yourself food poisoning, which does actually happen if you eat mosquitoes. So. But with freeze-dried, you're not going to give yourself. You're not going to poison yourself at all. So you'll be okay. So what's happening here in our stock is that it's becoming nice and reduced here. So here at the bottom you can see where our stock is at. It's becoming very, very condensed as we start cooking our ramen, because basically what's happening is that the liquid in that stock is starting to hydrate those noodles. So basically the noodles are starting to soak up that water, which is what we're after here. Then what I'm adding here next is that sauce base that we added a little bit earlier. If you weren't watching at that time, essentially what this is a combination that's like a little bit of garlic with some gochujang, gochugaru, and then a little bit of brown sugar. And then what you'll notice I just did is we only added, that was maybe about half of it, maybe a little bit less than, a little bit more than half. And the reason I like doing that is because depending on how much your stock has reduced, you may or may not actually need all of it. So ours is reduced quite a bit. So I do think we're actually going to end up using all of this. But if you're not sure, definitely we want to try and hold back as some of that sauce just in case, so we don't end up over seasoning. Because especially when we're working with something as condensed and concentrated as gochujang is, we definitely want to make sure that we don't overdo it with that stuff. Otherwise, you can definitely ruin a whole dish like that. So that's our gochujang base going in. We're basically just combining at this point. Alright. So I'm pulling that off heat, and then the last thing that we're going to do here, before we actually clean this wok, a little hot, is I'm going to do our egg last up. So over on our side burner, now on our main burner, is our stock pot of water, and then we're going to do a quick poached egg. So, bringing our pot, by the way, if you don't know how to do a poached egg, we're going to do a couple of things that are very, very useful to do. Let's take a look at there. So I've seen a lot of different things about like how to poach an egg. Lots of like borderline beauty science. The first and main thing, actually very, very useful thing to start out with when you're cooking, when you're trying to poach an egg, is very, very useful to have fresh eggs. So these are eggs from the market today. The older that they are, the more stringy and like, more stringy and like membraney the whites of your eggs get. But the other thing also helps quite a bit to do is pour it into a stove first, which helps quite a bit. And hopefully your yolk doesn't break like that. Where's my slide strength? There it is. So back over on the stove, what we're going to do is V for vortex, so give your pot a stir. Here's my egg going in. And this should only take maybe 20-30 seconds. Yeah, how do I prepare rice before a rice cooker? Yeah, you always end up with dry garbage if you follow directions. Yeah, so yeah, there's a couple of tricks that I like to do. The first thing that most people like, I don't necessarily fully think that it's absolutely necessary, but what most people will tell you is that you got to rinse the rice first. Essentially what that's doing when you rinse rice is you're rinsing the excess starch that's still attached to the rice when it's like manufactured. So I don't necessarily think that's always absolutely needed. I often will skip that step because if I'm just feeling lazy and I don't feel like getting the strainer out, sometimes I'll do that. Basically, the main difference that happens if you skip that step is it's essentially going to cause the rice to clump up a little bit more because the starch is causing the rice to stick together. That's not necessarily the worst thing in the world to happen. So if you don't mind that, you absolutely don't have to rinse your rice. But then after that, it's really just a matter of ratio. So if you're cooking it in an Instapot, that's a 1-to-1 ratio. If you're cooking it anywhere else, if you're cooking it in a rice cooker, that's going to be a 2-to-1 ratio. Both of our eggs just cracked. But yeah, other than that, that's really not a lot of tricks to cooking. Guzzler is a great username. I love all of the usernames on Reddit. I'm back. Get back. Two water, one rice. Yeah, so that would be if you're using a rice cooker. So what I cook with what I cook with here at home is a Zordorishi, which is a pretty standard rice cooker. That's usually 2 to 1, or if you're doing the Chinese things, usually what you want to do. So you can kind of see my finger. Yeah. Usually what I'll do is I'll fill the rice cooker up with rice or wherever you want to do it. Most of it when I cook at home, I usually eyeball the pot. Until when you put your finger in. Rice is filling it up to your knuckle. So if you're doing it in an Instapot, which is how we cook it in our catering, with our catering, it's a 1-to-1 ratio. So just like 1 cup of water to 1 cup of rice. What we usually do is 18 cups of rice to 18 cups of water. But yeah, if you're not doing it in Instapot, though, that's going to be the way to go. All right, let's do one more. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, give that a shot. Let me know how it goes for you. That's the trick that I've always followed. Up until we started the catering company, that's what I always did, is just rice up to your first knuckle. Because I never had to measure rice before, I always just eyeballed it. But if you're cooking it at home, that's probably going to be the best way to do it. But by the way, if you do own an Instapot, it cooks much faster in an Instapot. I think you could cook a pot of rice in an Instapot in like under 30 minutes. Whereas I'm pretty sure my Zordorishi takes like a solid hour to cook. So if you do on an Instapot, it's a lot faster if you do it that way. Not my best poached egg, but there we are. I'm just gonna green that one. Music is awesome. Yeah, thank you. Cool. If you're looking for the music, that's, by the way, is always over on my... Actually, I've started posting them over on the YouTube channel. But the dedicated channel for that is over on Will Cook's Beats, which is over here. Yeah, and those the beats are always out on... every Wednesday, there's new music that are popping up. That should start popping up over on the Woo Can Cook YouTube channel too. So, how the pop-up event's going? Yeah, pretty good. So we're going to be we're popping up this Halloween in our first physical location because we finally got the catering permit in progress. Up until this point, we've been operating temporary food events, which is a little bit harder and a lot more expensive to do in Alameda. But this next Sunday, if you're here in the Bay Area, next Sunday we're going to be popping up at Degrees Plate Out East Oakland. We're going to be doing. We're actually going to be expanding the menu a little bit for that. We're going to do a couple of new things, which I'm really excited for. But yeah, thank you for asking. The pop-up has been super fun. So I just finished that. That was the greens of our green onions plus a little bit of sesame seed, which is nice. So you heard that Thai food is hot, but when you ask for Thai hot, usually when you're, at least here in the States, when you ask for Thai hot, if you ask for Thai hot, they don't believe you. Very often they won't believe you. But honestly, yeah, honestly, if you're Indian and you're Indian presenting, usually they'll make it hot for you. But if you're white or white presenting, they go out of their way because they'll think that they don't believe you. So I know I saw early in the chat was an Indian American. Usually when I go and get Thai food with my Indian friends and they ask for it spicy, they really go for that shit, and they'll really make it hot. But when I go and get Chinese food or like Thai food with my white friends, they hold back that spice because they don't believe you when you say I want it Thai hot. Yeah, real spicy cuisine. Yeah, yeah, definitely Thai food. You have to really convince them that you really want it hot though, because they most of the time they're not going to believe you. So cool. Earthbound, yeah, that's where the second stream is going to Reddit. Yeah, so first stream is to Reddit, the second stream is to YouTube, or whichever order you want. But this laptop behind me, that's going to YouTube. This one in front of me, the one that I'm talking to, is going to Reddit. And then I have both of them up on the same computer somehow. So we somehow managed to do that. You told them that and you said spicy and was disappointed. Yeah. Yeah, that's the worst. Yeah, we actually talk about that all the time. Anytime that you see me using Thai chilies, that's basically what they're doing when you say like, oh, I want it less spicy or I want it more spicy. They're probably just dialing up or down that Thai chili, and that's how they make stuff really, really hot. So usually what I'll do is for a given dish, I'll add maybe like 3 or 4 Thai chilies, and that's like a pretty medium hotness, like not mild, but also not like really spicy. If you ask for it really spicy, they'll probably dial it up to like 8 or 9 of those things, and it can get real spicy. Yeah, you gotta bring your own chili. Or just add the sambal olek, which is usually on the side. Also, sambal olek is not that spicy though, so yeah. Cool. All right, thanks everyone so much for tuning in. My name is Wesley. This is Woo Can Cook. If this is your first time tuning in, we're here every Tuesday and Thursday at 6:30 PST. New recipes are coming out on the YouTube channel every Friday, and also if you're looking for the music, that's out every Wednesday. There's new music out every Wednesday. So live streams Tuesday and Thursday, music on Wednesdays, and recipes on Fridays. That's all popping up over on the YouTube channel, so if you're looking for that stuff, if you're watching on Reddit, that's the YouTube channel at the bottom. If you're watching on YouTube, it's the channel that you're watching on right now. Hit it. We're working our way up to 5,500 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you want to help us hit our subscriber goal, please pop over there and give it a subscribe. Lots of cool stuff coming up. This dish that we just finished cooking, this is a Rabokki, or Korean tteokbokki, that has ramen included, which is like a spicy rice cake that we just combined with some fish cake and also some onion, and then a gochujang glazed sauce. So that recipe came out over on the YouTube channel last Friday, so lots of stuff like that coming up. This Friday coming up is going to be a crispy kimchi bacon fried rice, which is coming from the pop-up. That's actually one of the fried rices that we serve in the pop-up. So if you're here in the Bay Area and you've had any of our fried rices, that's probably like one of the more popular ones. And anytime it has bacon in it, any of the ones with bacon in are the popular ones. So that's one of the really popular ones, is the crispy bacon fried rice. That's the one that people like to put in a burrito a lot, actually. So that's coming up this Friday. And then next Friday is going to be... next Friday we're going to be doing the Singapore black pepper chicken, which is going to be a PF Chang's hack, so that's going to be real fun. So lots of stuff like that coming up every Friday. New music every Wednesday. So we're doing a De Beers remix tomorrow. So that's coming up tomorrow, and lots of other stuff coming up. Cool. First time here, yeah. You'll be here next week. Cool. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah. Thanks for tuning in. Cool. Thanks everyone. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll be here doing dishes and probably going to eat this. So, all right. Thanks everyone. See you soon. Bye. from somebody else now. Whoa. Everybody's got to go up. Sometimes funny how we shoot the mood. Still, will we fight it, baby? Alright, never mind. Then I found what I'm looking for, baby. Yes, I found it now. Alright, I'm finally in love with love, and it's bringing me down. Want to be, baby, yes. Do you want to be, baby? Alright. Oh, wait now, babe. I said everybody wants to be different. I still got dreams, but they don't love me like they used to love it. And I'm reminded of how bad I used to want it. And yes, I still got dreams, but more like a tookie of my 20s, and it's breaking me down. Do you want to be, baby? Yes,
tasty whiskey. You're as sweet as strawberry wine. Your bed warm as a glass of brandy. Darling, I'll stay stoned on your love all the time.